Annyeonghaseyo, my name is Alex and today we are going to play as Korea. In my earlier games, when reaching the Far East, I became intrigued by how strong Korea becomes in this patch. And some people have also suggested the Korea playthrough in the comments. Apparently, these days Korea has a unique mission tree and an interesting set of dynamics, so let's get into it. We select Korea on the map, set our game as the Iron Man mode and we go. I've previously done World Conquests as Ryukyu, Oda and Manchu, but I've never played Korea in my life, so for me it's an interesting experience. I'm starting this game with two objectives in mind. First, I want to get the achievement called the Choson One, where, as Korea, you need to own all the provinces in the Eastern religious group. Second, as always in my games, I want to set up my country for a possible world conquest, and for that I will target to have 2 to 2,500 development by 1600. Korea starts off with these unique and interesting government interactions. Knowing myself, I suspect I will be spending most of the game with this one, the expansion focus. If these interactions are still available after I grab the Mandate of Heaven, I could theoretically get 55% coring cost reduction. However, I'm afraid I will lose these interactions. This first one, the inward focus, I'm not sure I'm going to take ever. This doesn't seem to fit my playstyle at all. The second one, the outward focus, actually looks interesting. I intend to colonize quite a bit and I expect to harmonize a lot of religions. I think I will start my game with this second one. As for the state privileges, I'm going for a very standard setup. I assume you have your own preferences and I don't want to bore you with this level of detail. But if you're interested, I'm happy to talk about it in one of my next videos. Apparently, Korea has a bunch of interesting decisions at the start of the game. I like them all, I think the benefits outweigh the compromises, and I'm going to take them all. The only one I'm not sure about is this Tripitaka Koreana decision. It gives +1 level of fort in a random province in the south of my country, which is where historically Tripitaka Koreana resides. But I don't see any strategic value in defending that province with a fort. But I guess we have it, so whatever. As it turns out, I cannot attack anyone at the beginning of the game. I am a tributary of Ming. I have a truce with Daejeon until December 1449. And if I attack into Japan, I will face the combined force of all the daimyos and the emperor. I'd rather wait until Japan unites, because then it will have a smaller army. I mean, what's the strategic purpose of having 2 forts down here in the south against Japan? But I'm not going to let Japan land here anyway. I cannot delete the Tripitaka one, but I will delete the normal fort to save some money. In one of my games, I saw the AI apply the Tripitaka to the capital fort of Korea, but not in my case. I do recommend one thing though. When playing a nation such as Korea, where you know you will be developing a lot, it makes sense to expand infrastructure in your capital. And maybe in some other provinces where you know you will be developing for the institutions. It gives a wide array of very nice benefits, and the compromise is very small. We are not one of the great powers yet. In the last year or so, I've been mostly playing one province miners, trying to make world conquests with them. Just clicking around this country, I feel Korea is really powerful. We should be able to bring it up the list in no time. Finally, Korea has a large and very detailed mission tree. I'm not sure, but I believe that when I become the Emperor of China by grabbing the Mandate of Heaven, a hidden part of the mission tree will reveal itself. Upon studying this mission tree, I've realized that we will have quite a few rebellions. Some of them, like this plight of peasantry, I should be able to prevent, but others I will have to endure. Okay, I think I understand my geopolitical situation a little bit better now. And the first outlines of the possible strategies start to form in my mind. I set the game to my favorite speed 4 and unpause. Because there is no one to fight in the first 5 years and I have no rebellions, I've set my army, fleet and fort maintenance to the minimum. Ah yes, one final thing about the initial setup. We are Confucian and we start at half harmony. As a Confucian in this game, you don't convert anyone, you harmonize religions. You spend harmony to harmonize. Each harmonized religion becomes fully accepted, which is great for rebellion control and gives you benefits. Also, being at high harmony gives you benefits, so it's a mini game of maintaining balance here. Daejeon will be my first target, but I couldn't find any mission in my mission tree that would give me claims on them. Luckily, there is a simple solution. Because I'm not going to attack into Japan just yet, I have decided to ally the Japanese Emperor, Ashikaga. Because Ashikaga himself doesn't have a large army, I don't think they will count as a great coalition deterrent by the AI. From my experience, the AI doesn't always calculate correctly the number of vassals and their armies when declaring wars. But in my earlier game as Ryukyu, I noticed that the Japanese daimyos do land their troops on the continent, and they can make my upcoming wars just a little bit easier. Here is a new mechanic I've discovered while playing Korea. I've started my game with a great ruler, but with a poor heir, whom I immediately disinherited. And now I got this event, the Sons of Sejong Do, where I can choose between 3 potential heirs. 2 of them are well below average, but one is a god among humans with 656. I now have probably the best leadership succession plan in many games. My starting ruler with the 655 skill set will be replaced by my new heir of 656. I already feel this will be a strong game. I believe this is the start of the event chain that eventually leads to the plight of the peasantry disaster. It warns me that I need to complete that mission by the 1470s. I wish they were a little bit more precise in their timings. In my impatience to commence action, I've prepared the army to attack on my northern borders 1 year earlier. It's no surprise that my S-tier ruler also makes a fantastic general. While waiting for the truce to expire, I kept developing my provinces to make sure that I have at least 6 development in each of my provinces in Korea. And in December 49, our truce is over and we can finally attack. Zhengzhou is allied to a small country called Korchen, that pink miner up in the north. Because I'm fighting 2 hordes, I want to keep my 2 armies close to each other and ideally in the hills or in the mountains. Because, as you know, hordes have an advantage in the open terrain. Obviously I have 0 army tradition, so the regular generals are quite weak. The enemy troops were already there down south in my country. I guess they had the military access because we are both tributaries of Ming. After their capital fell, I brought both of my armies down south and attacked. We both have 10% morale of armies in our national traditions, but I have a larger army and we are fighting in the hills, so actually they have a debuff. No wonder I won the main battle, and then stack wiped both of their demoralized units because they got stuck in the zone of controls of my forts. I guess the Tripitaka was helpful after all. They immediately built a new army, which we also intercepted and destroyed, fighting in the mountains again, as you always should do with hordes. You may have noticed that I've started declining the tribute demands from Ming. That's because I want them to become angry with me and kick me out as their tributary. I'm not letting the enemy armies occupy my provinces, and I unsiege the single province they occupied as soon as possible, because I want to keep and grow the prosperity in my lands. This prosperity makes it cheaper for me to develop my provinces. And makes me richer overall, of course. It's also a good habit to have, especially if you are going to get the mandate of heaven. Prosperity, stability, lack of devastation, lack of corruption, so on will be good practices to have. I cannot take any land from Korchen. They're also too large to become a vassal or tributary, but I can get some money from them. As for Zhengzhou itself, we annexed them and we emptied their treasury. I'm a little bit wary of the extra aggressive expansion I currently have. I cannot change my national focus for 20 years after selecting it, so now that I'm actually fighting, I wish I had chosen the expansion focus. These are the wrong culture provinces for me, Yurchen, so I prefer to concentrate and bring their development into my capital. In fact, while theory crafting for this campaign, I considered forming Manchu. I have to say, I really like the Manchu and Qing ideas, but I have to remain Korea until I become the Choson One. Speaking of, I forgot to mention my special government. We have the unique tier 1 government of Hermit Kingdom, where we have the special perfectionism mechanics, the secure succession. You saw how it played out with 3 heirs, cheaper advisors, development cost in the province with our culture, and a small bonus to institution spread. For my tier 2 government reform, I decided to compromise with nobility, so I can take the increased levies privilege without any negatives. It now gives me plus 18.5% national manpower. During the 5 years of my forced pacifism, I've developed all my provinces to 6 and above. All I need now to prevent the peasant uprisings is to generate enough income to meet the conditions of the previous mission. I'm hoping that I can develop Renaissance and sell it to Ming, if they still like me at that time of course, or to Ashikaga, and get enough income from that. During all of this time, I've been building spy networks in Haishi and Orochoni. They are my obvious next targets of expansion. Upon coring the sacred Mount Pektu, we get a bunch of permanent cores in the northern China. These will come in handy when we're ready to attack our overlord. Through a combination of development and frankly simply waiting, we got Renaissance spawning in the south of our country. For our mission we need net income before expenses deducted. This is why I decided to take a couple of loans and embrace Renaissance. Hoping to sell it to my neighbors of course. Unfortunately I cannot sell it to Ming. This would have given me up to 10 ducats a month, but they are already sitting on a bunch of loans. As you can see in this tooltip. I decided to wait a little, hoping they will pay out these loans. Accepting the Yurchen culture seems like a good idea, especially because I have a lot of extra mana. I don't know, Ming may never be able to pay out their loans. Before it's too late, I decided to sell my technology to Ashikaga. As you can see here, Ming is at war with the Oirat and Mongolia, and the nomads have just captured the Ming emperor. I hope Ming doesn't collapse too soon. I absolutely intend to attack them several times, and the bigger they are, the more money I will be able to get from them. Unfortunately, selling knowledge to Ashikaga doesn't give me enough income. But after developing my richest provinces a little bit more and taking a few more loans to meet the treasury requirements, I can complete these 2 missions and get rid of the peasantry disaster. Second mission gives us a stability increase, and we're currently at 0 stability, so it's quite efficient to first increase your stability from 0 to 1 using your own mana and then do the mission. This even opens the third mission for us, which gives extra prestige and governing cost decrease in one of the provinces until the end of the game. And after we develop some of our Korean culture provinces a little bit more, we unlock another mission in this branch that gives us until the end of the game cheaper construction, local goods produce modifier, which is one of the best economic modifiers, and monthly devastation decrease in the geographical area of Korea. This third mission in this row, which gives us a lot of loyalty of our estates, will be difficult to complete. I'm afraid we will need to go through all the scripted rebellions to complete it. The last mission in this branch is also powerful, with lower unrest and high diplomatic reputation, although honestly I don't like lowering my unrest before I complete the court and country disaster. Okay, now we can pay off some of our loans and come back to the main flow of the game. In 1464, 20 years after selecting the first government interaction, we can now choose the expansion focus. On the plus side, it will give us better morale, co-creation and aggressive expansion. On the negative, it will decrease the loyalty of our estates. It may seem like a minor debuff on the first glance, actually it's quite serious, given that some of our key missions depend on the estate loyalty. I now feel a little more equipped attacking Orochoni. Honestly, I've never expanded so little in the first 20 years of the game as now. This has forced me to immediately create a strong home base with good economy. At the same time, I feel impatient to expand. I have no idea how long the Japanese will remain my allies. I suspect the mission tree will make them turn hostile to me quite soon, so why not use their help while we are still friendly? By the way, I didn't record for a couple of years because nothing much was happening, but I want to mention that as my first idea group, I've chosen exploration. Now I have explorers to send out and learn about the world. Also, because I haven't been coring, making unjustified demands or hiring generals, I've been able to invest a lot of my mana into technologies. As you can see here, I already have 22% innovativeness. This means that all action requiring mana are now 2% cheaper for me. Just as I expected, this is a very easy war. My Japanese friends also landed at least some armies and helped me. In peace, I'm taking as many provinces here in the east as I can. The reason is that I want to have the range to make claims and attack into Ainu and the Siberian tribes. And because apparently we have just seized the borderlands, one of our missions gives us a lot of claims in the Yurchan tribes. Thinking a little ahead, I have already built the spy network here in the Ainu lands, and after claiming their provinces, I can attack. They usually ally themselves to Ashikaga, but today they have no alliances and I cannot miss this opportunity. During this war, the third government reform became available, and I chose to expand the royal court for the extra reform progress. The Ainu obviously don't offer any military challenge, it's a quick full annexation. Soon after, we have reached 100% harmony. My religious unity right now is only 74%. I decided to harmonize the pagan religion group. This will make all the pagan religions in this group accepted and will reduce the revolt risk across my nation by 1. In most of the situations, I recommend reducing the autonomy in your provinces. Yes, it increases your revolt risk, which isn't so bad because it makes the revolts happen sooner, freeing you up for expansion, and it gives you greater income and manpower. I've decided to build my first colony in the Philippines. That's because I want to take over the 3 very rich trade centers down there. However, most likely I will be building my second colony in Alaska. If I complete it before 1500, I may be able to spawn the colonialism. For that, I will need the colonial range, and so I'm fabricating a claim on Kamchatka, and that will be my third war. My priestly estates offer me a decision which increases my harmony by 5. I can use it every few years. But I forgot, this also gives more influence to my priests. I've been abusing some of these buttons too much, and now I have a clergy rebellion brewing. Luckily, the influence should drop below 100% before the rebellion kicks off. Okay, after this claim is complete, we can declare our war on Kamchatka. You may have noticed that all my wars have been small and easy so far. Yet, in parallel, I've been developing my country. Without too much effort, I'm creating and expanding my home base, from which I can grow exponentially later on. Some of my wars like this one are purely strategic. Like I had mentioned before, this is so my colonists could reach Alaska. Of course, we demand full annexation here. And since one of our armies is up north here, we declare on Chukchi. We have also prefabricated a claim on this province. After Kamchatka gets scored, we can easily send the colonies to Alaska. Or maybe expel the Yurchan minority there, why not? As my second idea group, I chose Humanist, because it gives benefits to my harmonization, and it will give me even greater discounts on my idea costs, of which I have a lot. Full annexation here too, of course. It would appear that we now meet all the criteria to spawn the colonialism institution. All we need is for the year to be 1500. Because this is a guide, I'm not going to save scum for it. If I get it, I will keep it. If I don't, I will develop for it. I have enough development discounts to not have a problem. Every time we get an heir with poor skill set, we disinherit. Yes, it drops our prestige by 50 every time, but first of all it's worth it, and second of all, we are going to gain this prestige back by fighting. And soon enough, we get the 3 sons to choose from, and one of them is very strong again. I love the Korean government, and I will be sorry to lose it. This is my 3rd ruler so far, with more than 15 total in his skill set, and I'm just starting off making my advisors ridiculously cheap. Not to mention that some of our missions and the Mandate of Heaven decisions give us extra administrative mana points. In this game, even though we cannot raise provinces, we will not lack mana. Meanwhile, as you can see here, I'm fighting Haishi and Nanai. I'm getting a little concerned with Oirat's expansion in the north, and I want to fight them as soon as possible. All the while, we continue exploring. While harmonizing the religion, we keep getting this event related to harmonization. Right now, I am always choosing the options which harmonize the religion faster. Later, when I have the Mandate of Heaven, I will be choosing the options which give me more mandate. Learning about the world and the global political situation is a priority for me right now. I want to see what the Europeans are up to, and I am very specifically interested in how large the Ottomans and Russia have grown. I still have good relations with Ming, and they're happy to share their maps with me. Thinking about the World Conquest, one possible strategic move right now would be to attack into the Oirats and reach Russia as soon as possible, and then block them from expansion. However, right now, I'm gravitating towards letting Russia grow and colonize all the way to Pacific. This would give me a nice endgame boss if I were to continue this campaign. Right now, I'm still quite slow in my expansion, as you can see. I'm preparing for the eventual confrontation with Oirat and Ming. I am building my manpower reserves, and I'm growing my economy in my main trade center of Nippon. These scholar-related events are really unpleasant, and they will only get worse. They reference the bureaucratic and academic strife which Korea went through in the Middle Ages, so they're kinda historical, and I begrudgingly accept. You see what I mean? If you choose the wrong option, you get even more rebellions than you thought you avoided. My estates gave me a subjugation casus belli against Nanai. Nanai is a recent tributary of Oirat, who is massive and who has several mountain forts. I actually was allied to Oirat, and I carried a lot of favors to break this alliance. But before I could do it, they turned Nanai into a tributary, so I had to break my alliance with the Oirats and attack on my own. I had allied Kam because they have strategic interest in the Oirat lands. They may join my war and serve as a distraction. As soon as we started this war, Ming has finally broke off the tributary status they had over us, and we also became the great power. Also during this war, Ashikaga declared us as their rival, and we finished harmonizing the pagan faith. I got Korchan out of this war just for a bit of money, not to have a long truce with them. And 4 years later, after taking all the mountain forts and fighting a bunch of rebellions at the same time, we can make Nanai our vassal and take a few provinces from Oirat. Between Oirat and me, we have eliminated any country who could have cared about this. Okay, I think it's time for some serious action to start. Ming is currently at 0 mandate, meaning their troops are very weak. Along with Kam, who will join them in this war rather than me, they have slightly more troops than I do. But of course my troops will be stronger. All the fighting I've done has increased my military tradition, and my generals are now quite good. If you have seen my other videos, you would know that I try to always barrage the enemy forts. This way I shorten the wars, protect my manpower, and I keep the strategic initiative, more or less. The Ming AI is being quite smart. They have sent 22,000 of their troops to naval invade my mainland. I haven't invested into my fleet, so I don't want to confront their navy. And now I have to split my army in two and fight on 2 fronts. Even after being barraged, Beijing takes a while to fall, in part because I cannot blockade it with my fleet. If nothing else, having a vassal during the war, even a small one, will help you save some money, because you can give the occupation of the fallen fort to them. As I barrage the enemy forts, the Ming armies stay well away from me. I guess the game calculates that their chances of winning are very low. They keep threatening my heartland with a naval invasion. They keep running one of my armies east and west. I don't want to be caught with my pants down and let them pile up on me. Even at low mandate, if they manage to create a numbers advantage in one place, I don't think I can win. They actually land this time, but by the time I reach them, they run away on their boats. Lesson learned, I guess. I need a strong fleet. Because I'm both colonizing and exploring, I keep ticking off the age objectives. I've already taken the aggressive expansion reduction, beta colonies, and now the adaptive combat terrain. Oh look, let's see if 15,000 of my troops can defeat 22,000 of theirs. Yes, they can, no problem. I'll need to keep this in mind for my own future wars as the Emperor of China. Under the normal conditions, I would never separate my armies like this. But because the Ming troops are so weak, I've grown bold enough to besiege 2 forts at once in the different corners of their country. I've also decided to bring my fleet into action. Bad idea. A humiliating naval defeat while my armies on land keep winning. Anyway, after winning a few more battles and capturing a few more forts, we're ready for the peace deal. Ming is commonly seen as a bottomless bank when playing in Asia. And in our case, I'm getting the maximum cash from them, 2.6 thousand, and whatever land I can grab for the rest of the war score. I'm not yet taking the Mandate of Heaven from them. I'll do it later when I can get all 3 imperial cities. We have completed the mission of uniting the Bay of Korea, which gives us a lot of claims on China. I can only hope now that Ming doesn't implode into a million rebel states, at least not until my next war against them. I prefer my bank to remain whole. I used the Take the Mandate of Heaven CB to attack Ming. This CB gives you their provinces at half cost. Because of this, I've managed to take so many high development provinces that even after concentrating all the development, I'm still way above 100 overextension. I may have been too greedy too soon, to be honest. I'm not being very efficient right now. A more efficient way is to take only the 3 imperial cities in your first war, Beijing, Nanjing, Guangzhou, as well as the Mandate of Heaven. Then, in the second war, every Chinese province you occupy will become your immediate and full core. Now that we've mentioned efficiency, it makes no sense to core provinces while having very high war exhaustion, like I do here. Look, at 6 war exhaustion, I wasn't able to core 4 or 5 provinces, but when I bring my war exhaustion to 0, I can core everything. Sorry for going off tangent. I thought this info could be helpful for those not used to playing in China. After my single colony in Alaska completed, I returned to colonizing the Philippines. I'm not yet sure if I want to create colonial nations in the New World, or keep this land for myself. I'll make this decision if I choose to play beyond the Choson One achievement. For now, I will not form the colonial nations. I wanted to mention that even with only 2 merchants, I am making quite good money right now. 10 decades of profit, after all expenses deducted, is not bad. I've been investing quite a lot of mana into my province development and money into buildings, and from here I really expect my economy to start snowballing. Ah, the bad overextension events are here. Just pull them to the side of your screen, let them expire. Look, Japan has formed nicely, exactly what I wanted. After I build up my fleet a little bit, I'll get a mission giving me a lot of claims on the southern Japan. For now, after coring the new lands, we got the Korea Reunited mission, offering us some temporary buffs for 50 years and claims on Manchuria. My biggest bottleneck early game always is the governing capacity. I always expand faster than I can catch up on this, so let's build some buildings. For my next war I decided to attack Cochin. Ming will not come to protect them, so they're completely defenseless. And because that war looks super easy, I've also attacked Tondo in the Philippines. Ming is not protecting any of their tributaries. That's actually bad. I was hoping for another quick war with them. Okay, Cochin is done and no one cares about me fully annexing them. And while I was dealing with rebellions in the north, we got the birth of colonialism. Like I had said, I did not save scum for this. I got it because of my Alaska colony. I was also the first to complete the exploration ideas. I don't know if it was a factor. The war with Tonda showed me that I still don't have a sufficient fleet. For some reason, the game bugged out, and the fleet I was building back home, instead of being constructed in all of my home provinces, was being built boat by boat in a single province. I lost my patience and decided to peace out for what I could. I am anyway happy with my gains here. Because of my god tier rulers from the start of the game, thanks to the Korean government and me disinheriting anyone bad, I'm overflowing with mana a lot. So why not build some professionalism? I'm adding all my new lands into trade companies because I want to dominate the trade anywhere I can reach. I don't need to convert anyone, so I'm simply using this add all button. Meanwhile, my religious harmony is almost 100 again, and I can harmonize 2 extra religions because I have enough development with them. I want to first harmonize Vajrayana, because it will give me higher production efficiency. Honestly, after doing a one faith, one culture and almost killing my wrist with the convert button, I love this peaceful harmonization mechanic. Because my government is focused on expansion, my estates are never happy, but I do want to keep growing my crown land. This means more rebellions. Speaking of rebellions, the Literati Purge event chain has started. This is great, because after I navigate 3 or 4 unpleasant events like this, I'll be able to get rid of this disaster and complete some nice missions. I have no idea what is the best scenario here, but I hate losing stability and I have a lot of mana, so option 2. You see, the first event in this chain is complete, I need to do 2 more, and then I need to have more than 90% crown land or very high state loyalty. Now that my country is stable again, great time to attack the hordes. After destroying their army in the very beginning, I set my regiments to auto-siege, and while my armies were doing that, I used my spy network in hordes to steal some of their mobs. Because of the travel distances here up in the north, it took me another year to build up enough war score. I took some lands in the Far East and isolated hordes from the Chinese provinces. This gives us another mission, control Manchuria. Monthly autonomy change is great, although it will only affect the Manchurian provinces. All the while, we continue to explore and colonize. In this Neo-Confucianism event, I prefer to accept it. I am not going to convert anyone, and I always prefer to have some tolerance. Okay, now we have built a good fleet, at least 30 galleys and 5 heavies, and now a mission will give us a lot of claims on the southern Japan, or western Japan as it is correctly called. Sorry for being a language nerd. Anyway, our next war is against China again. We have a ton of claims, and also we have the best CB with the Mandate of Heaven. I have to say, I've never seen this. Ming has 0 troops. I'm sure they will have mercenaries and all, and I hope they don't collapse before I'm done with them. This time I have a proper navy to blockade their forts. You may know that a simple naval blockade by itself increases the war score. If you didn't, now you do. Ming's tributaries like Davyet are fighting their rebels for them. That's also great for me. All I need to do is set my armies to auto-siege, lean back and relax. The damn scholars always choose to strike when I'm fighting on the front line somewhere. The influence is too high, I want them to lose it. After this incredibly easy war, where I didn't have to fight a single battle, I believe our demands are very logical. We request the Mandate of Heaven and the 2 remaining imperial cities, because we already have Beijing, just under 2000 this time. 0 coalition. In terms of World Conquest, that's it. We've just become the most powerful nation of the world. With Mandate of Heaven, we can take any province in the China area without coring it. All we need to do is occupy it, I will show you. There is literally no way of stopping us right now. And yes, we did get a massive addition to our mission tree. However, I looked through these missions and a lot of them look very complex. I'm not sure I even understand most of them. There are a lot of conditions and ifs and thens. I guess I'll just play my game and we'll see. A massive positive is plus 500 governing capacity, which the mandate gave us. As for the Mandate of Heaven itself, I'm not sure I'm going to use it a lot. There are a couple of decrees which I like, and 2 or 3 celestial reforms maximum. I want to conquer a lot starting now, and I don't want to fight at low mandate. We lost all the debuffs to the estate loyalty that the Korean government type was giving us, but we got this annoying eunuch estate. Each privilege here gives us corruption. I'm not going to lie, I have no idea what I'm doing right now. There have been so many changes to all these dynamics in the recent patch. I will just explore and learn as I go. After grabbing the mandate, we became the Celestial Empire. That's a government type we cannot change unless we lose the mandate. I love everything about it. Tons of governing capacity, extra prestige, less influence for the estates, and of course the unified China casus belli. Legitimacy has been replaced by meritocracy. High meritocracy makes your advisors cheaper and accelerates your reform progress, gives a huge spy detection boost too. As the name meritocracy suggests, you grow it by having very high level advisors. Look, we already have massive discounts. As we grow richer, we will keep running 5 level advisors all the time. As for using the mandate decrees, out of all the choices we have here, I prefer 2. Expand palace bureaucracy for cheaper development and coring cost reduction, and proclaim dynastic name for faster mandate growth and estate loyalty. For the celestial reforms, I like to establish Li Fan Yuan because it gives another 10% coring cost reduction, and I don't know what else. The negatives of the low mandate may be too large to offset any other benefits here. Before I forget, right after you grab the mandate, you'll very likely have this disaster, Empire of China in name. You handle it by having at least 2 accepted Chinese cultures. For Korea, the developers gave us a very easy way out. All we need to do is synthesize our culture, that's it. Both the Korean and all the Chinese cultures suddenly become accepted. During the Fall of Ming event, I always take the maximum mandate. The very first great project I'm upgrading is in Beijing because it gives us the mandate and absolutism growth. In this event, the eunuchs of the Korean Empire I've decided to curb their power. I find this estate quite annoying overall. It affects the conditions of one of our missions. Okay, that was all about the internal management of our Celestial Empire. Let's get back to warmongering. This time we'll go after Japan. I now have a strong fleet and army. Their size and quality have scared the Japanese off, and instead of confronting me during my landing, they've gone after Hokkaido. When your mandate is high, you keep getting events which increase it even more, but when it drops below 50, you'll be getting a lot of events driving it down. Ooh, not bad. We've lost our Korean ability to choose heirs, so we have to rely on RNG now. By the way, I have a lot of extra mana, and I've started using my excess Diplo mana to start converting provinces to Sino-Korean. This time I'm not going for the one culture world conquest, I'm doing this simply to reduce the rebellions. Completing the Humanist idea group gives us much cheaper ideas for the future. We can also take the Native Assimilation Act policy for faster colonization. Finally, the Japanese army is here. I'm sure their troops are strong in the latest patch, but with our numbers advantage, the victory is clear. This is still early game, our administrative efficiency is 0, and Japan has a lot of high development. It will take 3 or 4 wars to fully consume them. We got Vajrayana harmonized, we just keep getting richer in this game. And Ming started collapsing, oh goodness me. In fact, at this stage it could be a good thing. I now have the mandate and the casus belli, and if Ming disintegrates into a million pieces, I should be able to conquer them fast. Shun is aligned with Oirat, which is perfect. I need land from both. Even though my harmony is only 76%, I still want to harmonize Shinto, because it will give me 10% infantry combat ability. That's actually one of the best benefits from the harmonizations. For my tier 5 government reform, I've decided to take the amphibious specialization, because it enables me to hire marines. They are valuable to me because I'm doing a lot of island hopping. So let's go ahead and hire some marines. We now have 3 manpower pools to draw from, the main one, the sailors and the mercenaries. For my third idea group I'm taking offensive. It gives me better sieges, better generals and more troops. Because of all the discounts, my ideas now cost me only 299 mana. Isn't that great? Colonization wise I'm trying to reach Africa. I will not be able to block the Europeans from colonizing into my area. For that I should have taken expansion ideas too, very early. But I should be able to reach first the Eastern and then Western Africa myself. I'm rich enough now to start colonizing more than one province at the same time. The cost of such colonization doubles with each colonist. So 2 ducats a month for 1 colonist, 4 for 2, 8 for 3, etc. I should be able to afford up to 4 colonists at the same time right now. At this moment the wars are probably the easiest part of the game. There is simply no opponent near me strong enough to create a challenge. This will change with time of course, but right now the expansion is easy. And look, I only need to core the Halha, Buryat and Mongol provinces, because they are not part of the Chinese region. Everything which belongs to China I don't even need to core. I'm now at 100 meritocracy, and this event gives me 5 more meritocracy. Maybe it's time to take a decree. Well, I'm also at 99 mandate. As I mentioned, there is really no military challenge around me right now. It looks like a good time to take a mandate reform. We lose 1 stability and 70 mandate. But we get 10% coring cost reduction. Because I'm doing a World Conquest setup, this is actually valuable. And for the decree, I'm proclaiming my dynastic name. I lose 20% meritocracy, but I gain some mandate growth. The priority now is to get to above 50 mandate as soon as possible. To help with that, I can accelerate the Beijing project construction using my money. You can see here how many debuffs we're currently getting from our low mandate. National unrest, goods produced modifier, fire damage received, shock damage received, meritocracy loss, a lot of debuffs. No surprise, I want to claw out of this hole as soon as possible. While we do that, why not have a small victorious war in the south, bringing in as many people as we can. None of these nations has a serious army, so we shouldn't have any problem winning battles. Our neighbors don't like us apparently, why wouldn't they? Oh, the second literati purge. Of course they always strike when I'm weak and distracted. The first option loses a lot of mana. A stability loss is the same cost in admin mana only. Aha, some good events. Yes, give me the mandate. So, for this mission, we did not choose to empower the eunuchs, so we'll get the alternative benefit, cheaper advisors when we expand our royal bureaucracy. Alright, our small victorious war is over, and for my peace deals I want to annex some countries completely. Others like Ternate I want to vassalize. The reason is very simple. Ternate has a powerful set of colonization focused missions and ideas. All I need to do to unleash them is to eliminate their historical rival, which is Tidor, this tiny island nation over here. All this time I've been expanding my trade companies, building marketplaces and so on, so now a trade mission becomes available. We also dominate the Japanese trade apparently. This area has a lot of small countries, which are all different religion from me. It's a little tricky avoiding coalitions here. I want to annex most of them as soon as possible and lock others behind truces. This mission will give us an event. Let's see what comes up. The Great Career Supervisory Agency, whatever that means. So these are temporary modifiers: corruption reduction, mandate growth, just mandate lump sum, and 100 government reform progress. Obviously I prefer 5 mandate right now, because it will bring me above 50 mandate, and all of our horrible debuffs are gone. Next war is against Ming with Unified China CB. I want to jump in on all the action there, and the positive mandate events are back. This one is about trade. Speaking of trade, you may have noticed that now I have 5 merchants. That's because I've been aggressively adding provinces to trade companies. When peacing out in China, make sure you occupy every province you want to take. This way, you will not have to core it. A new victory, a new mission. This one gives us even more mandate growth and more claims on China. Since there is nothing to core, the next China unification war starts almost immediately. And for the first stage ability, we of course take the war score cost reduction on other religions. I have to say, it feels liberating not to be fighting in Europe right now and not going through all the Reformation shenanigans. And the third and hopefully last literati purge. This time the alternative is rebellions, so let's go for the option 1. And finally we can tick off this mission that took me several decades to complete. It ends all the factional rebellions in Korea. This next mission will require quite a bit of work also. We'll need to keep developing the provinces in the Korea geographic area and build manufactories in each one of them. Of course, some manufactories are hidden behind high administrative technology levels, so we won't be ticking off this one for a while. Dali, I'll just peace out for money so I can attack them soon again. And from Ning, I'll take as much as I can. There is, after all, no overextension. I love this casus belli. It's making me overpowered for little effort. I'm eliminating Confucian countries at 50% aggressive expansion. So the pagans, Muslims, Buddhists around me, they simply don't care. In result, no coalition. And I can keep attacking them non-stop until they're all gone. This time, because I took land from Dive Yet, I actually need to core some provinces. But overall, you have seen how much administrative mana I have saved, taking over the entire China region at 0 cost to me. Time to unleash Terminate the Colonizer. I now have this CB called External Perfectionism. To use it, all I need to do is border someone. In this way, it's similar to the Deus Vult CB. I colonize the province next to Tidor, and now I can attack them. As you can see, every war I fight is fast and easy. Over time, all these wars are making me turn into a mega monster. A few months later, Terminate started to colonize. That's just one example of using your vassal's mission tree for your own objectives. They're very easy to find. You go into the missions menu and click on your vassal's shield at the bottom, and then you can complete your vassal's missions as if they were your own. Now we border more countries. We can spread our perfectionism to them. Let's go! I got this event which gives me mandate when I'm very close to 100 mandate. I know I said I wasn't very interested in the mandate reforms, but while I'm fighting all these easy wars, maybe it's a good idea to take a couple. I can go for this one, new casual formats, which gives me even more mandate growth and more reform progress. Why not? While we fight all those wars in the Pacific, I want to continue colonizing Africa. My objective is to reach Kilwa, so I can use my perfectionism CB on them, but I still don't have enough distance, so I'll go for the silence. We can start piecing out these little nations here. Each bunch of provinces makes me much richer, and even though I'm annexing countries which are not co-belligerated, I have no coalition against me. And then we simply drop them all into a trade company. With this strategy, I already have 7 merchants, bringing me a lot of money. Here, 40 ducats net profit, while maintaining a sufficiently large army, although right now I have only 1 colony. Isn't it great? The Shinto faith is now harmonized. Our infantry has plus 10 combat ability. By the way, I already had Mahayana harmonized from the beginning of the game. The bonus there is minus 10% ideal cost. I know it would be more efficient to have tributaries for my mandate growth, but even with 0 tributaries right now I'm getting 1 mandate point every 4 months. I'm playing aggressively and I don't see the need for tributaries right now. Tada! We completed the offensive ideas. We now have much stronger army with 5 discipline, and Korea's final tradition gives us another 10% idea cost reduction. I'm starting to feel that if I upgrade a few monuments, my idea cost will be close to free. I can now take the Liberation Act policy. Minus 5 years of separatism means much less rebellions. I now have so much unrest reduction, I have no idea how I'm going to kick off the court and country disaster. While doing all of that, I've brought my armies into position for another attack. I have so much money now, I've decided to upgrade the Forbidden City once again. I love the benefits, extra mandate, extra absolutism. By now, I have completed the initial setup of my country. From here on, I can start rolling with my conquests, almost non-stop. I've reached the mainland Africa before Portugal or Spain could claim all the provinces there. That's awesome. I don't like this heir. Maybe he can find something else to do with his life. As for us, we just keep rolling and snowballing. We have long become the #1 great power, twice as much development as the Ottomans or Russia. As for making full states out of my provinces, I'm being super cautious. First, I'm growing so fast that the governing capacity will become the bottleneck again. Second, because the devastation would be a major negative impact on my mandate of heaven. Devastation only affects my mandate negatively if it's in full court provinces. So when I full state something, I make sure to protect it with forts. Because forts reduce this devastation quite fast. One simple trick to reduce coalitions is to keep improving relations with the countries in the area where you conquer. Sounds simple, but I know many people don't do it and they end up coalitioned. This peace deal opens very good expansion routes into Indochina and Bengal. We need land from both for our Choson One achievement. Even more so for the World Conquest setup. When we fully own the Spice Islands, Indochina and India, we will be incredibly wealthy. If some of your stated land has devastation, you must get rid of it as soon as possible. Developing it is the fastest way. Of course, as Korea, we have a ton of development discounts. All of this land is our accepted culture and accepted religion, so literally each click makes us richer. And we continue to expand. I haven't colonized Taiwan, because when Ming starts collapsing, there is an event which populates it automatically. All I need to do is conquer it. And boom, moments later, all of the Greater China area is ours. Our special bonus insta-core conquests are over. From now, like normal people, we need to start coring everything we conquer. I'm quite happy with my country development. Even with the full reinforcing army, fleet, and 3 colonists, I'm still running a surplus of 64 ducats. Whenever the technology allows, I started building manufactories in my homelands. Yes, remember one of my objectives was to get 2 to 2,500 development by 1600. It's now 1546 and we already have 2,300 development, so we crossed 2000 a while ago. I can't recall having so much development so early in any of my games. I think it's time to go all out against all these countries in the Spice Islands. The more of them I fight at once, the less is the risk of the coalition. I should be strong enough now to handle them all. Right now, I'm operating with no allies. Thinking defensively, I may need to ally someone strong, not to get coalitioned. What I'm doing now is a little bit of an advanced strategy. Don't do this unless you know what you are doing. I'm signing separate peace deals with the countries I didn't co-belligerate. This adds a ton of extra aggressive expansion. For me personally, usually it's a late game strategy. But my country is so overpowered, I can do it already now. The coalition should not form, because I'm going to attack everyone who would care. Ooh, I had a Spice Islands mission, I didn't even know. It improves my trade efficiency for a while. Believe it or not, but even with the mandate government, I'm starting to run out of the governing capacity. Malacca can grow and become quite annoying, and while my previous cores are being completed, why not attack them? The coalition is starting to form, I may need to attack more countries. The RNG is on my side. After that event, I closed and reopened the game, and the coalition disintegrated. It's a simple no-cheat trick. The game simply recalculates the values when you reopen it. I think it makes sense to attack another small allies block. We can even reach Congo now. I'm planting a colonies there for the future possible expansion. For the Tier 6 government reform, I'm taking the General Estates. It gives me more reform progress and estate loyalty. Both are great in preparation for the coming absolutism. Later on, I would replace this one with the reform that gives absolutism directly. The call for peace has started. That's one feature I've never asked for. I'm coring provinces batch by batch, just below 100 overextension. Every batch takes about 3 years to core, and I have created a long queue of provinces, which I haven't even pieced out for yet. I may have bitten off more than I can chew this time. Here is my new coring badge, 108 overextension. This of course means rebellions, and because I have calls for peace from 3 different wars, my war exhaustion is growing like no tomorrow. This of course also means more rebellions. Oh no, also this one started. The That I Hear rebellions. I have no idea why these events start. They don't always start during the overextension, but it's basically a never-ending series of revolts. As soon as you click this event, a new rebellion will start. The good news, it warns you in which province the rebellion will happen. Usually, even with a sprawling naval empire like this one, which I have here, I have enough time to bring my army there. Well, this time just about. The event expired and fired off just before I could bring my army across the ocean. And another revolt in this chain. Whoever has designed it, at least let us know the conditions. Yeah, I was wrong. I used the late game tactic, mid-game, whilst not wanting to vassal feed. Now that I think about it, vassal feeding is probably my only way out. Look, I'm getting almost 1 full point of war exhaustion per month. Like I had said before, don't do it at home. Okay, after messing about with all these rebels a little bit more, I have decided to piece them all out at once. My objective was to declare on everyone in the Spice Islands to prevent the coalition. That objective is complete. I'm now feeling the cost, but I think it's worth it. Okay, I've taken a lot of land, and I'm really overextended right now. I will release Malacca as a vassal, and feed it as many provinces as it can take. The reason I didn't vassalize Malacca directly is to avoid them hating my guts by fully annexing them and then releasing them as a completely new country. I have reset their attitude towards me, and now they love me and they have low liberty desire. After vassal feeding Malacca, I'm at 147 overextension. That's not too bad, many of the scores will be done soon. Oh, how I love this sound instead of the rebel screams. We're now back below 100 overextension. We've given ourselves a massive development boost and a lot of rich trade land, all of that coalition free. This Temple of Confucius gives plus 50 religious unity and a good yearly harmony boost. I want it. This reminds me, we are at 100 harmony and we can harmonize another religion. This time I'm going for Theravada for cheaper advisors. After bringing my armies from fighting rebels all over Asia and Africa, time to attack Bali and Langfang. As you can see, I'm working to completely conquer this geographic, culture and religious group. While I'm taking them out, people in the other groups don't care. After I'm done with them, I'll shift my attention first to Indochina, then India and so on. Meanwhile, the printing press has spawned somewhere in the Protestant Europe, I guess. Why not spawn it in our country too? Developing is cheap and I have a lot of mana, so we're done. My capital has 59 development and the institution will spread to it like wildfire at 7.5 per month. My little alternate here is doing their job very well. I'm running 4 colonies at once and they are also colonizing actively. If we look at the rest of the world, Russia has formed and is growing nicely. I decided not to block them off in Siberia because those provinces are very poor and away from my trade. The Ottomans are not very large geographically, but they're highly developed. I'm afraid they can grow quite large from here. The rest of the great powers are the usual suspects, including the Commonwealth. Japan is the logical next target. I need them both for the achievement and to control the trade in the Nippon Trade Center. I love this external perfectionism CB. It's like Deus Vult without completing the religious ideas, which I don't need for this run. While I'm blockading and besieging their country, the Japanese army is again chilling out in Hokkaido. I didn't want to fight Japan while having low mandate, but I just got this event again, giving me 5 mandate while I'm at 100. The Japanese army is quite strong, but maybe I'm willing to take the risk. I am intrigued with this one. Introduce Gai to Gui Liu. It gives me yearly meritocracy growth. Ooh, look, the Japanese army immediately started moving in my direction. I may be able to intimidate them with my usual tactic of putting forward a siege stack supported by 2 other stacks. I obviously have a numbers advantage, let's see. After the fort fell, I decided to attack their actual army. I'm feeling really insecure right now, but I'm putting more than 100,000 against 20,000 enemy. Stack wipe, there we go. The obvious learning here is to fight with overwhelming advantage when low mandate, but don't bring your entire army in at once. Instead, bring it in 2 or 3 increments so that you always have fresh morale troops on the front line. The fall of Kyoto with lots of prestige and mana, lovely. I should have waited probably. I'm above 100 overextension again. And what do we have here? Silk Road control. Why not? Better trade steering for 20 years and mercantilism. And I have also defeated the Shogun, getting cores on all of Japan and an event. Whoa, lots of money, prestige and cheaper development cost in my capital. We can embrace the printing press now, thanks to Japan. Okay, our goals take us southwest into Indochina. When we besiege and sack their capital, we also get the Emerald Buddha. This is just extra prestige until the end of the game. Even though I'm still fighting below a 50 mandate, it's a pretty much easy victory. From Ayutthaya, I'm taking land in this strange shape, because I'm trying to border at least 2 new countries. And of course, this gives me 134 overextension. Now, if you're not doing a World Conquest setup, and if you're simply going for the Choson One achievement, you can obviously do it in a much more relaxed way. Just slow down, take a few more decades and take it easy. As for me, I'm going to disinherit another poor heir and continue my conquests. By attacking Sunda, left here without any allies. For the 4th idea group, Diplomatic. It costs only 232 mana for me to take an idea, versus the 400 initial cost. I've been running level 5 advisors for a while now. The only reason my military advisor is level 4 is because I keep overflowing with the military mana. The Grand Palace of Bangkok is one of my favorite monuments in the game. It gives absolutism governing capacity and reduces aggressive expansion. Here is another little trick. Sarek Yogir is a tributary of Oirat. So, if I fully annex Oirat, they will become my tributary, and then I will have a 5-year truce with them. To avoid this, I prefer to attack the tributaries of the country I'm going to annex before signing that peace deal. Like so. At this time, the Theravada faith got harmonized. Oh, but I made a mistake. Oirat is too big to be annexed. I keep forgetting how early I am in the game. An extra general, not that I need any. From here on, to be honest, it's straightforward conquest. All the fundamentals of this game are in place. I covered them in a bit more detail than usual, because it's my first country outside of Europe that I'm playing on this channel. We are at least 50 years ahead of schedule for the World Conquest, and to get the Choson One achievement, from now it's pure administration. I will quickly go through my next wars, because from here things get quite repetitive. Conquer, core, conquer, core. For my tier 7 government reform, I went for the meritocratic recruitment. It just feels like I'm staying in character, and it gives me even cheaper advisors. I'm getting a lot of basic starter missions only now. The core mission tree probably wanted me to go north and into Japan. Instead, I went straight south and west for more money. It's already my 3rd war with Japan, I still cannot annex it. Late game, of course, you can annex Japan completely with its colonies in one war. A little curious thing here, after integrating my vassal Nanai, I inherited their banner regiments. This really made me want to play a Yuchan horde. And another basic mission. At the death of my next ruler, the game suggested me to move my capital. I complied, because it gives me some mandate. With this, I will also be able to start concentrating my conquests again. Bengal is the first big war in a while. They are allied to Delhi and Malwa, which don't present a real problem. Apart from distance, of course. I need their land for my achievement. I know it's counterintuitive to drop my mandate of heaven all the way down to 30 during a major war like this. But I decided to reshape my bureaucracy, getting 1 extra administrative point for my ruler. I fought a few battles with the Indian troops, and they were super easy. When you have the mandate, you cannot let anyone siege your court provinces. So I'm playing a minigame of whack-a-mole with the Indian troops. Sometime during these wars we harmonized Islam for better trade efficiency. The way the game works is for Eastern religions you have to harmonize them one by one. Shinto, Theravada, etc. As for the other religions, you harmonize entire groups at once. Pagans, Islam, Christianity, and so on. We did not get the global trade. No problem, we'll just develop for it. In preparation for the age of absolutism, I'm revoking most of the privileges of my estates. In 1603, we finally annexed Japan. Took us 4 wars. I will still need more provinces from Bengal for the achievement, but for now we will just isolate them from their neighbors. Because I'm constantly above 100 overextension, everyone who wanted to rebel has already rebelled several times over. We are now very close to getting the achievement. When you hover your mouth over the achievement in the menu, you can see which provinces you still need. For us it's Tibet, a little bit of Yarkland and Indochina, that's all. For better coalition control, I had allied the massive Spain. They left me alone for a long time, I forgot about them. Now they will start inviting me to their wars. I don't expect Denmark or their allies to ever come here. I just continue with my own program. And another religious group harmonized, Dharmic this time, gives us +1 diplomatic reputation. We are looking good on the map, aren't we? We can also see the two major obstacles if we were to continue the world conquest, the Ottomans and the Russians. Look at this, unbelievable, there are no rebels in my country. For once, I've killed them all. As good as it feels, it is actually a problem. The age of absolutism has started, and a common trick to force farm absolutism is to provoke certain types of rebels, which I cannot do. So no common rebels, my estates love me, so no rebels from them either. I can only grow my absolutism by decreasing autonomy, harsh treating rebels, and sometimes strengthening my government. I do have nice passive absolutism growth from the age objectives and my monuments though. After taking Eastern Bengal, that's it, we got our achievement, the Choson One. I took a little bit more land than I needed to, because like I promised, I also wanted to show how to set up this country for the world conquest. We've conquered the Greater China and Japan area, the Spice Islands, which we share with our two vassals, a small sliver of East Siberia. We've put our colonies in 3 areas of Africa, from where we can attack using our perfectionism CB. And we even grabbed footholds in Alaska and Mexico. And also in Australia. If I were to continue with my world conquest right now, I would move my capital to a single province in Africa first, and then to the New World. Why do I think we're well set up for the world conquest? 1. We have 5,200 development in 1623. If memory serves me, this is the highest I have ever had. 2. We have strong and stable income. And 3. We already have a sizable army. I can now hire 200,000 troops, which is about 50,000 less than the Ottomans, and I can close this gap fast with buildings and taking the quantity ideas. From my humble experience, the biggest problem will not be the conquest. The strategy is quite clear. The biggest challenge will be the sheer slog and boredom of it. Even if I loved playing Korea and making it so powerful so fast. So with your permission, I will not continue with the part 2, and will go do something else, for example, the 3 mountains setup. If you enjoy this type of content for EU4, please give this video a like and subscribe. You'll make my day. Big thanks from me and my best friend Mila.